If you have a child and want to marry someone who doesn't like your child, as a parent it's your obligation to put the kid first. Am I a dick for thinking this? Isn't it fair? Once you have a child, unless they are in the permanent care of someone else, they come first until they are an adult. I think that's what parenthood is all about, but I hear and read so many stories of people's parents marrying people who are awful to them. I may be biased cause my stepdad is a wanker, but I stand by it.
Everyone always says they put their child first. Few actually do.
This is an unpopular opinion.
I was 17 when my stepmother came on the scene. She treated me like an enemy and would blame me for things that I didn't do. She got caught out a few times, but just before my dad married her I said you can change your mind if you want to, and I was basically told to either like it or lump it. That woman was verbally and physically abusive, and I got married too early at 19 to get out the house. When she died I was glad, and I never went to her funeral, and I'm still glad, and I'm 55 now.
Why the fuck would someone marry a person who doesn't like their child? Sounds like they don't even like their child. That's messed up.
I really dislike kids and never want any, but of course, if you become a parent, your child should always come first. That should be basic knowledge.
If the guy I like doesn't like my kids, then he can fuck off.
At first I read this as, if you have a child and want to marry someone who your child doesn't like, don't marry them. What do you think about that?
If you agree to bring a life into this world, you should really be agreeing to put its needs before yours for 18 years minimum. Making any choice that's not in the best interest of your children, it's selfish and you shouldn't have had them.
Absolutely. This is the exact bullshit my dad pulled when I was 5. I'm 35 now and I still don't get along with my stepmother. She has turned my dad against everybody in my family. I have memories of her doing awful things to me. I eventually was left at my grandmother's house when I was 9. They got me back when I was 14, and for 4 years I wasn't allowed to leave the house unless it was for school. When I was 21 my stepmother told me I wasn't really part of the family and the only reason she allowed me to come home was for the tax bonus.
If the potential partner doesn't like your child, sure, but that's not putting your kid first, that's just common sense. Any adult that thinks they can have a relationship with you that does not include your kid has something wrong with them. Those that are saying put the kid first, I would say this needs to be qualified. What if it's the kid that doesn't like new potential partner? A parent should absolutely put the kid's needs first, but certainly not the kid's wants. A kid is always going to push back when they realize that they have to share mom's, dad's attention with a new love interest, so always take with a grain of salt when a kid says the new step-parent is being awful.
Depends the age of the child. If you're 25 and still making a fuss about who your parent married, then you got some problems, buddy.
It's easy to agree with the high-level principle, just make sure you aren't the one being a wanker, and trying to ruin your mother's relationship out of jealousy or possessiveness. When you write, they come first until they are an adult, you may be thinking, you must always put my demands over your own desires. This isn't true. Your mom isn't your slave until you're an adult. I've known several people where one or more of the kids have major problems with their single mom dating a new guy. It doesn't seem to happen as often with the dads dating new people, for whatever reason. This turns into major issues between the kid, who refuses to accept a new person in the house, and the new person in the house, who is sometimes just doing the best they can in dealing with an emotionally undeveloped, selfish child. That said, if your stepdad is just an asshole, then I'm sorry about your situation.
Nope, not always. Sometimes people have a kid that is a dick. Source, I have one.
My half-sister hated my dad. My dad is seriously an awesome guy, but my sister was being a petulant child who just had her parents go through a divorce. Doesn't help that her dad is a complete asshole. My mom married my dad, she just fought with them both until she was in her 20s, but she loves my dad now. They build stuff together and do a kinetic sculpture race every year. She calls him by his name, but says he's her real father because he raised her and not her dad. Normally I would agree with this opinion, but I think it depends on if the kid doesn't like them for who they are or if they're just being stubborn. ***, my mom did ask my sister's permission to marry him. She wanted her to be okay with the decision. My sister approved, by the way.
No, you're not a dick for thinking that. If you're a single mom or dad and you have full custody of your kids and someone you start dating don't like your kids, then they can fuck off. Now if the kids don't like who you're dating, that's different, cause your child shouldn't decide who you can and can't date just because they ain't mammy or daddy, especially if the person you're dating tries to get along with your kids. After all, I'm sure single moms and dads can back me up that finding a person who likes kids that ain't their own don't come along that often.
It's when the parent starts telling themselves that putting the new partner is somehow also beneficial for the child because father-mother figure that the child is in real danger.
Depends on the kid. Simply because they're your kid doesn't mean that they can't be inherently dislikable as a person.
I think this exists as a spectrum. An abusive step-parent is something that your real parents should protect you from. A stepdad or stepmom who has a decent paying job and can provide for the family but doesn't go to your school events and doesn't involve themselves in your life in a significant way is probably not significantly worse than having a single parent, as noble as it is to put your kid first. If you're depressed and socially isolated because you're working and taking care of a kid with a limited support network, you can't take good care of your child. If being with someone who is indifferent toward your child enables you to provide a stable home for your child, that's a good thing, even if the step-parent isn't supportive directly.
My mom is 54, divorced for 10 years, and she still wouldn't date someone who treats her adult kids like crap.
There is a lot of nuance to this. I didn't like my ex's kid, but that was because she did kinda a shit job. I wanted to do a 180 on their behavior. And I am not an asshole. Kid was 4 and would go insane if they didn't have a phone to look at. She spoke poor English, so put on Thomas the Tank Engine videos and trusted YouTube. Bad idea. Slammed the brakes when I heard, "Oh Thomas, you want fit in my tunnel." Other ex was just lax with discipline. Single moms are kinda bad at it. But there has been studies to show the whole put your child first thing isn't so good in a marriage. Priority should be on maintaining the marriage and the child will follow. Which makes sense. But in the end, anyone who writes a book on child rearing is full of shit.
So you take one of the most popular and vocalized opinions in the world, and try and pretend as if it isn't popular. Don't hurt your back. Karma farming. A long day in the field can cause serious pain.
You are completely correct. I got with my husband knowing he had a daughter. It was a package deal. I couldn't be his girlfriend and eventually, his wife, if I didn't also want to be a stepmom to his little girl. My family and I worked hard to help him through custody court and we got primary custody of his daughter. As someone that went into a relationship with someone with a kid, I believe that if you want to be with someone that has a child, then you have to also be willing to step up and be a step-parent. If you don't want to be a step-parent, then you don't want to be that person, so.
Absolutely. Step-parent can be dangerous to your children. There's even a wiki article about it, https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Cinderella_effect.
I couldn't agree more, but that might end up giving a kid WAAY more power over adults than is appropriate.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with this. Child comes first, and if she doesn't like the partner, it's not worth breaking up a family for.
I've seen an IRL case where a single mother will remarry, have another baby with her new husband and then totally emotionally neglect her child from her old marriage. Bully them, etc., so they will leave the nest so the parents can focus on their own kid. You have to be a special kind of fucked up to do something like that to your kid.
Most people put their kids first, only the worst people don't. I'm sorry you are in a bad situation, it's 0% your fault.
My mother got together with a man when I was in the first grade and he hated me. Like he would insult, mock me endlessly and she never did a thing about it. I wish she made me her priority.
3 points. My kid hasn't even met my boyfriend. I think kids need stability in their lives and my kid definitely comes first in mine. My ex introduced my kid to his GF less than 3 months after we separated. Then he cheated on her and wanted to introduce him to the next girlfriend. He's a fucking mess.
My mother married a man when I was 4 years old. He absolutely hated me because I was the product of another man. He very quickly made it to where I was afraid to come out of my room to go to the bathroom because he'd always yell at me to go to my room and keep my door shut when my mother wasn't around. My mother never did anything about it. He always blamed everything on me. So my mom would always ask me, "Why don't you ever come out of your room?" or "Why didn't you eat today?" When she'd come home from work, I'd always try to tell her it was because of her husband. She'd never listen to me because he'd blame it on me and act innocent. That was just the tip of the iceberg of the amount of neglect I went through. I'm 25 now and still facing the psychological repercussions. They're still married.
I never understood that. I put my child first but my spouse is a jerk to them. But I still put my child first. God bless my mom for actually asking me if I liked my stepdad before they got married.
My mother's excuse was that her new husband will be with her forever, but I will leave once I'm an adult. Now that I am, I try to prove her right with every month I don't visit.
I was this kid. I am 50 years old and I still feel a burning rage for that fucker and I want his bones broken. My half-brother, his kids, hate him almost as much as I do. I have never really forgiven my mother for the hell he put us through. When he beat the shit out of her, I wanted to protect her and at the same time thought she needed a taste of what he was doing to us. I called the police. They came and she did not want to press charges, but I told the police he beat us too and if they leave he will kill us. They took him and I heard he fell down the stairs at the police station a few times because when we went to the hearing at the courthouse it looked like someone beat the shit out of him. We did not see him again for a while and he just moved out of state. I heard he married another woman in New Jersey, stole her parents' credit cards and maxed them all out gambling. His brother-in-laws put him in the hospital with lots of broken bones. That is what I wanted to do. I wanted to get my turn to break him.
Here's an even better unpopular opinion in today's modern society. If you are divorced with kids, you simply shouldn't remarry, nor should you be out wasting people's time on the dating scene.
What do you mean, doesn't like? I feel like that could mean anything from beats on to finds slightly annoying. In my experience, you can start out disliking a kid and still grow to be quite fond of them as you take care of them.
Duh, not unpopular.
I would say who wouldn't agree with this. Then I look around and realize how stupid that statement is. Several people I know of are with people who legally shouldn't be around children or are simply assholes to children.
Or maybe you should have thought about the consequences of having a child before all of this, hence why I have never had any interest in a woman who already has kids. That's a deal breaker.
I can't see myself dating someone who doesn't like my kids, let alone marrying them. My kids are the biggest part of my life. Why on earth would I even be interested in being with someone who doesn't like them?
The hot of this subreddit is just popular but not acted upon opinions, but I guess that name doesn't sound as good.